can you see this person's perspective, but can you see beyond this barrier that is in front of you right now? And we do get to that place of gratitude and actually appreciation. Now, it takes us refusing to stay in a victim mindset in order to do that.
Okay, I have no earthly idea. We are having gremlins today.
Gremlins!
But we roll with it. We just roll with the punches, as Jody Messina sings.
There you go.
How are you?
I am well. I just ended the session, and as I ended that session, I shared with my client that Otis has struck again.
I have about 25 pair of glasses that look exactly that way. Why do I go to Dollar Tree? Because my dog thinks I'm buying them chew toys.
Right.
Mike says they're delicious. Mom, they're like they taste like you. Your hands, your faces. I just love it. It's you're not here, so I'm gonna eat your glasses.
Right. I think Otis did the same thing. He was kind enough to bring me glasses so that I would see it. And I said, oh, okay. So, but not fret not. I have another pair.
That's what we do. Buy them by the bag.
Right.
That's why Dollar Tree is our favorite. Even the $1.25 tree, it's still okay. It's still a bargain.
Right.
Today, look for love in all the wrong places. You know,
so we're going there today.
We're going there. We're going there.
Let's
looking for love. It's like, love and all the different permutations of love. And it's springtime. And when springtime happens, people start looking for love, and they develop spring romances where there are none sometimes. And they believe stuff is love when it's not. And so now we're going to talk about how to have ourselves ready to accept a new relationship, how we can rekindle a relationship that needs some help. We're going to just talk about love and all the different things, because when it comes to springtime, and it's something about this time of year that people start going, and summer romance just around the corner, people will accept things that aren't necessarily good and right and true. So let's talk about love and what does real, good, nourishing love, how should it feel? Now, I don't mean the, oh my gosh, they're so cute and I just adore them. I mean the nourishing kind. What do we need to look for? What should it feel like inside, Teri?
Well, in order to recognize it, and I know I'm going to get a lot of internal eye rolls on this, but in order to recognize it, we have to know what it feels like for us. Love is different for each person, just like happy is different for each person. So people will say, well, I just want to feel love. Well, for some people, love is fireworks, bells, and whistles 24/7. And other times love is companionship and knowing that you have someone there that, yes, there are bells and whistles, but you also have someone there that can really connect with you and they get you. And they also are in a healthy enough place that they can be a container for even the parts of you that maybe you aren't ready to love yourself. That doesn't mean they're there to fix you. It just means they're there to hold space for that.
Sometimes I think that, and this is another internal eye roll, and I really have always hated it when they go, well, to find love, you have to first love yourself. People, we don't really understand what that means. Let's talk about what feeling love for ourselves is. What does that mean?
I tell clients that when we're talking about self-love, we really break it down into self-kindness first, because we have to be in a place where we're only willing to give of ourselves, but we're comfortable receiving. We're also comfortable with things working out in our favor without a knee-jerk reaction to wanting to sabotage. Because we can want love all day long. And it may show up in packages that we never really thought were our jam, but it doesn't mean that it's not a good love for you. You know, it doesn't mean that it's not a healthy love for you, just because maybe the physical or even maybe some of the spiritual isn't the same as what you align with, doesn't mean that they're necessarily an unhealthy for you.
Right.
But if you are partnering up with someone who takes, or who just love bombs, then someone who is feeding a need that you have to either take care of other people or to be taken care of. And when we get into the needs are generally our littles and what they need, not our adult self.
Oh, that is a mouthful, because we fulfill the little girl need to, whether it's father issues, an absent father, or an abusive mother, or all those things that hurt our little growing up selves. We try to fulfill all those hurts with the love relationship that we want to end up with. And that can send us down a really bad path. Sometimes we want to save someone. Maybe we had a parent we couldn't save, so we try to save someone in our love relationship. Saving someone is not a true love relationship. So Elizabeth said, so many feels in this one today. For her, real and healthy love felt like peace, contentment, security. It felt effortless, as it felt natural to do for each other and ourselves at the same time. Oh, that's really good. Really, really good. Wayne is joining us today. Hi,
Hello, Wayne.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to change our view just a little bit so we can get a better view of when people are visiting with us, and share. Candy's with us, and she's talking healthy love. Everyone is looking for love, or we would have no busy online dating apps. Everybody looks at those things, and they all make fun of them, but secretly there are a lot of people who are looking for love on those dating apps. And I'm not going to say that you can't find love in one of those, because I've known people that have. However, the cylinder that we are has to be full. Elizabeth says dating apps suck. Leslie is also joining us too. Hi.
Hi, Leslie. You're absolutely right. The cylinder has to be full, or at least we have to know what is healthy for us. Candy makes a good point. Healthy love, but we have to know what's healthy for us, because I know people who are very career driven, and for them, healthy love is someone who is very career driven. But when you do the work-life balance, sometimes the career, while it is important, sometimes equally important is having someone there. I saw the postman again. Sometimes having someone there, for some people, having someone there that just not to say they're just there, but the essence of support is just there, and not support in the sense of they need to do something to complete you, but they're just there. They're there to talk about the things that are important. They're there to talk about the funny things. They're there to share with you and to have you share with them. Defining what our healthy is one of the first ways, whatever it is. If it's like, what do you need in a partner? What feels good to you? Safe, healthy, good personality, happy, whatever those are, define that, break it down, because it's different for every person.
Exactly. And I always say, put your list of what you want in a love relationship, whether it is a friendship, whether it is a romance connection, whether it is a business love and you're having a business partner, because there's a certain amount of that. People go, oh, it's just business. No, you better be able to say, this person that I'm in business with, I have a love for them. I have a respect for them. That might be what it is. I have learned to put my pets in my love scenario, because there is never a time, if you are an animal person, when a non-animal person comes in and says, well, I can deal with your animals, but I'm really not an animal person. Okay, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. It is not a green light, as you say, Teri. If you have something that is passionately part of your life and someone comes in and it is not passionately part of their life, they don't learn to love that. If they just say, for instance, and I'll just throw mine out there. There was someone in my life and he loved animals. Oh, he loved animals. But then as it turned out, it's like, well, I don't like dogs in the house. Who are you? And what planet did you come from that you don't have a dog in the house? I don't want a dog in a dog pen out back. That's not the way we do things in this century, dude. And so I didn't even realize at the time that that was a red flag. I made it a green light. And I go, oh, I'll talk him into it. Not going to happen. That's an example of know your passions ahead of time, defining you're healthy.
And sometimes you might link up with somebody who may be, initially like, yeah, I don't do pets. And you might find that it's because they weren't allowed to have pets growing up. And they may actually love pets once they're exposed to them, our little fur babies. But all of that is, more than anything, we're not green lights. The red flags do not mean, oh yeah, I know that's a red flag and I feel some way about that, but I'm just going to push through that because I know I can make this person happier. I know I can make them healthier. I know I can make them whatever. You're not. You're going to make yourself crazy trying to make somebody something they're not, because that's not what they were born to be.
Elizabeth says, my love bar is set nearly impossibly high. I had my soulmate for 17 years. I won't settle for anything less again. Okay. First of all, impossibly high just means right for you. It's really not set high. Somebody says, well, there aren't many people who will fill that bill. Okay. I'm not looking for many. I'm looking for one, and that's the thing. It's like, because we put specifics down on our list, that's the way it starts narrowing down. It's not just any port in a storm.
But also, and this is, Elizabeth, this is not directed to you unless it resonates, and then get naked and swim around in it. But also, impossibly high can be a safeguard for ourselves, because we can experience love and then we can lose that love. And then we don't want to ever feel that pain again. So near impossible for anyone to ever feel that bill. Have you ever seen, and anyone, because I don't see a show of hands here, but the movie Practical Magic with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock? Mm. In there, as a young child, Sandra's character experienced pain. Now, she was a little kid, like 12 years old or something, but it was a breakup within their family. So she created the impossible, the one blue eye, the one green eye, the one, the limp when you walk, just the whatever it was. And sure enough, when she was ready for that love, it presented itself to her. So we can create impossibles, but they're not impossible. They're not. Mm-hmm. We just have to know, this myself, instead of sitting around and praying and hoping and doing all our woo-woo juju and whatever to attract the right person into our life, do the work that when the universe or God puts that person in your life, you're wise enough to see it. You're wise enough to acknowledge that, yes, this is a person, whether or not they are your ideal. I can't believe I just had this conversation with a client, and they asked me what we're talking about today, and I said I never know what we're talking about really, but as I just can't believe we're having this right now. Well, I can believe because that's just how it works. But
Yeah.
You know, I would have never been attracted to my late husband because I mean, realistically, he was a cross between John Goodman and Fred Flintstone. And in my reality, that wasn't my type. You know, I had a type. They were 6 foot or over, and, you know, but he was the best gift in my life. So we have to be ready. We have to be willing to hold ourselves accountable, to be ready for when that love shows up, no matter what it shows up in. And ourselves into thinking we can take something and bend it into a love that works for us, because that love, whether it's a work relationship, a friendship, an intimate relationship, a healing a relationship with your child, whatever it is, that love is out there. We just have to be receptive to it and not scared of it.
Okay. Another thing that is really, really important, and I know I'll have people that disagree with me on this, and I don't care. I just don't. Spirituality and how you think that way is probably the most important thing. If you, and because there's a phrase in my Christian belief, unequally yoked. And my grandfather, who was a Baptist preacher, used to ask me, but are you equally yoked? I didn't know what he meant by that until I saw one of my horses. I had a big draft horse that I leased to the Mennonites. And he was not equally yoked with anyone because he was bigger, stronger, faster than any of the other horses. And the fields were always lopsided. He would take off and these other horses would be kind of dragged along. So it made the lines weren't straight. They were not equally yoked. And I've spent my life many times being yoked to someone that I was not equally yoked with. So it was always a little lopsided, a little left footed. And when we are equally yoked with someone spiritually, it's amazing how that can take you in another direction. To think that you can have two spiritual worlds living in one house and cohesively cohabiting is not the norm. It's not, it just is it's a tough situation, because to me, that's the greatest union that you can have, is a spiritual union.
And to that, because, you know, we always show contrast here. I have friends that are that practice Hinduism, that are married to a friend of mine that is Catholic. And it's not that they are not equally yoked. They have their own beliefs and they have a respect for one another, for their beliefs. And they don't make anything work. It just works. They don't have to make it work. It just works, you know.
And I always say that there are those, for me, I didn't think that it mattered. And I learned very quickly it really did matter to me, for a day to day, a day in and day out. And so for me, having that place where you go to and you have this connection that way, that was important to me. That was a non-negotiable. And I think having a list of your non-negotiables is important. Tim, hi, Tim. I'm so glad that you're here. I did not even want or think about being in love or thought about a relationship after 6 years being single until I met Clint. He was, and I was like, holy cow, spiritually yoked. Many years of self-care, self-love, and self-worth. And now I realize, wow, Clint is the person for me. And he shows me each and every day. Truly blessed now. Kissed many frogs, now my prince. Oh, I love you, Tim.
That's sweet.
It is. It is. And I'm so happy for you, because Tim spent a lot of time just taking care and making himself someone that he could love. And I love that. And Yeah, Elizabeth, I just love that for you, Tim. I always hear relationships are hard. When I was with my guy, it wasn't hard. It just came naturally. True. I don't think that, while I think that sometimes marriage has a certain work element to it, because it's always a teeter-totter kind of a,
Mm-hmm.
let's see how we need balance. We need to be able to understand that two people are more difficult to come together as far as agreement on everything than one person deciding everything for themselves. I mean, that's
Right.
just a natural thing. If what color are we going to paint the walls? You know, while
Right.
while there are relationships where someone says, "Well, I'm going to come in and I'm going to surprise him with green walls," and you know that you've got the guy that says, "Well, I don't care what she does with the house. That's fine. Just leave
Mm-hmm.
my man cave alone." There is.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your thoughts about the phrase relationships are hard?
I think concrete is hard and relationships may be complicated at times, but I think that complication comes from what we bring to an individual and expectations
Mm,
about, it's really easy to fall in like and lust and then in love with someone or whatever order it is you fall in. And then when that pink cloud dissipates a bit, to want to start the home renovation process where it's like, oh, okay, well, now I see this person and all that they are. And I'm going to work on me a little bit, but what I got this list of things over here for this person that I need to work on for them because I need to help them. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. That's where it gets complicated because there's one thing about supporting someone. There's
mhm.
one thing about, supporting, guiding, nurturing. It's a completely different language than fixing. Fixing implies that the person
Mm.
that you fell in love with is, and you need to make them exactly who you need them to be in order for them to fulfill what you need fulfilled. And that means that you are probably in an unmatched relationship. But a lot of people will fall into, they don't really fall into it gracefully. They trip into love, and then they spend a lot of time living in, well, remember when we first got together, how good it was. But the truth of it is, in a lot of relationships, in the very beginning, it is going to be good. Now,
Mhm.
I'm not saying that you can't.
Elizabeth's lust came first.
There you go, Elizabeth.
That's real. Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't get there, but you have to be honest with yourself. And the energy that you're putting into trying to change someone, you have to. You can't be 6 months, a year, 5 years in a relationship with somebody and then go back to, well, when we first got together, that's how you were, and I'm like that again. And if I change myself, then you'll be that way again. Well, that is a slippery slope, my friend, and it typically does not end well. So, but yes, like I said, Elizabeth, it doesn't matter if it's like love or lust or what relate or how you fell into it. For many people, it's just they can be mutual friends, and it grows into this undeniable connection, but it's different for everyone. So everyone has to know what their love is.
So defining our healthy, defining our non-negotiables, defining our specifics. Here's what I am looking for. And then I think another thing that really helped me was define our joy. And when you spend your time, instead of going online, instead of going to a bar, instead of going to a church, seek your joy. What is it that gives you your joy in life? And when you find someone who also finds their joy in that place, chances are that joy that they have that aligns with yours, it's like, oh, wow, here's someone who really loves hiking. I met them hiking, and we're part of a hiking club, and we're part of a book club. We're part of an animal rescue organization. If your passions for joyful things are aligned, that does really bespeak a lot. That's a great way to find someone. I always say that, if you spend your time cleaning up uh, shelters, and you really work with animal shelters and things like that, and you find a guy that likes to do that, chances are there are other things that line up too. That's just one of the first places I always say to look for your joy, define your joy, go there, go to a group that does those things. And when you find other people there, your friendships with those people, those can really blossom in some good ground.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And being open, staying open, because here's the thing, it doesn't matter how long you've been with somebody or how good the relationship is. Creating space for yourself, your own interpersonal relationship, and your own spiritual relationship, and even sometimes your own family relationships. It's good. I hear a lot of people say, well, when I find my person, we're just never going to leave each other's side. Okay. That's questionable. Sometimes we find people we just love being with, and we are best friends with them, right? But if you're in that place where they can't go do what they need to do or they want to do because you got to go, even if you don't like doing what they're doing, because you just can't stand to be without them.
Mm-hmm.
I got a business card for you, because that's not healthy.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, Jeff Hogue. I love you, Jeff. I'm loving every aspect of this conversation. Yes. I just hate when we have these hallmark versions of what love is supposed to be. And it's something that's when that is our expectation, I'm going to promise you that something about the relationship is going to fall short, because they do not write a script for real love. They don't write a script for what it's like. And fixing is not falling. I love that you brought that up, because if we see someone that is a project and that's what jazzes us, it ain't love.
And that's also what will be the demise of many relationships. I've relationships like this, where we meet someone, and either you're looking to be taken care of in a physical, emotional, mental way, or you are wanting to take care of someone. Mm-hmm. And then once they get healthier and they no longer depend on you, either there's going to be an established relationship, or one person's going to feel a little salty because the other person now doesn't need them anymore, and you've changed. Well, of course they've changed. They've healed. I know people who have had back surgeries and brain surgeries and all kinds of things, and they have fallen fallen in love with their person during their healing process. And now they're a different person because they've come through that. And now they're a different person, and they're getting back to life, and they're getting back to independence, and they're getting back to things that nourish their soul. In love with them, there was so much of an unspoken expectation that I was your caretaker, I was your caregiver, and now you don't need me anymore. And now things get a little wonky, because at that point there's really some issues that have to be worked on, or we become incredibly unhappy and unnecessarily unhappy in what we call love. And then the next time we go to fall in love with somebody, we assume it's going to be, hard, rough.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be. Okay. Here's my thing is, if you have repeated the same relationship with different people over, and they have all ended poorly, okay, it is a chance to look, okay, you're the common denominator in all of these bad happenings. Okay. Doesn't mean that you were bad. Doesn't mean that you've done, it means that you keep choosing the same type over and over and over. And it didn't work the first time, the second time, the third time. Maybe you're trying to correct something that happened way long ago with, okay, but this time I'll do this different. This time I'll do it this way. And if it's the same person and it still hasn't worked out, listen, listen, pay attention.
And the other part that I'll add to that, Devon, is that if you're deciding in the moment that, well, I haven't changed these things, but now I'm attracted to this person, so now I'm going to do things a little different. If you're not living, odds are you're not going to stick to them when you get in a relationship or you start dating someone, because the warm and the fuzzies are going to get in there. The butterflies are going to get in there, and suddenly somewhere along the way, the butterflies that are all flittering around and they just feel so warm and fuzzy and we love them, at some turn in the relationship, they turn into pterodactyls. And now they're not fun anymore because you're worried that you're going to upset somebody, or you're worried, you listen for how the car door shuts or how they speak to, and that's not love. That is trauma bond. It is not love. It can feel like love. It can look like love. And sometimes it can certainly sound like love.
Mm-hmm. Did y'all hear that? Trauma bond is not love. Trauma bond, not love. When we repeat the same thing and it makes us feel anxious. Oh, Candy, walking on eggshells is not love. That's right. Nobody wants floors of eggshells for a lifetime. No. And Elizabeth, I love you. This is true. I've also learned it's okay to be single, just like it's okay to have children or not have children. I'm good with both. Amen, sister girl. Here's the deal. If someone says, I am not looking for marriage, believe them. When someone tells you who they are, listen, pay attention. And if it doesn't align with your healthy, your non-negotiables, and your specifics, it's okay to bless and release, catch and release, let them go. Become that character Elsa from Frozen, let it go. Because it's all right to let people be who they are. If it doesn't work with you, it's like, God bless you. It's okay. And if you go on a couple of dates and it just doesn't feel like it ain't happening, it's okay to let that go. Tell them.
Yeah, it's absolutely okay. It's also okay to remain fluid in it, because again, when people first get together, they're trying to figure out, like, we have our absolute deal breakers, and then we have this whole area of like, well, I don't know, I hadn't really given that much thought, and dating these days is not the way it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago, or Lord knows 30 or 40 years ago. It is challenging now because there are so many people who, we open a closet up every day and there's a bazillion different masks to choose from. And we put it on. And some days you might match up with somebody and other days you might not. And it's not so much that I think people are out to hoodwink other people. I think that there's just this incredible sense of hesitation around being authentic and being vulnerable, because we live in a world where we've just seen it in the past few years. And I'm not using this as a springboard off into anything COVID, but I am going to make this point. In the past few years, I mean, we even got into mask shaming. Like, I even would get out of my car and head into a store and be like, get to the door and go like, oh my God, I forgot my mask, and I would just be like, oh God, what are they going to think about me? And then I thought, well, this is kind of a new thing for me. I'm 58 years old and I didn't really ever have to wear a mask in my life. So now I have to remember to do that. And sometimes we're going to get it right and sometimes we're going to mess it up. But we're going to go back and do what we got to do, right? So there are conversations. I mean, how many times do we have conversations even with people these days, and they start off with like, and I joke about it, but I mean, I joke about it in a lighthearted way. But I hear people say, well, I'd love to come to your office and see you. I've been double vaxxed and boosted. It's almost like it leads with like, I've had everything. So can I see you? So there's this sense of shame that comes with that. There's a judgment that comes with that. And we do that with people. We do that when, maybe you link up with somebody that you think is fabulous and they pull up in their little 1982 Toyota Corolla and suddenly you're feeling some kind of way because it's like, well, wait a minute, or we as a population have become hesitant to be vulnerable because
exactly,
it's a dangerous place to be if you're not comfortable being there.
Candy says there's nothing wrong with being single if you don't find someone who is authentic to you. And I'm going to add one more to that, Candy. It's okay to be single if you find someone who is authentic to you and you just go, you know what? I adore you. I love spending time with you. I also need to have my own house. And it brings me, it's like, it's okay. Because that's where I am in my life. And I've always been that way. And my mom had this moment where she's like, you'll never find someone because you want someone to live in another house. Yes. You have a couple that I adore this story. Please share this because if you are, do you, boo? Tell us about this couple. They literally are married and living in separate homes.
Mm-hmm. I went to high school with a girl, one of my best friends in high school, and she married her husband and they lived in the same house for a hot minute and decided they deeply and passionately and dearly loved one another. And they were the best of friends, but they could not live together. And so he has a house that is about a mile down the road. I think 3 children. They have 5 or 6 grandchildren. They get together, they do things, they share, they go to one another's homes, they have sleepovers, but they do not live in the same house. And they are absolutely happy. They are happy with that. It works for them. And so am I or anyone else to like be judgy about that? It works for them.
Well, we're going to have this conversation a little bit more going into the springtime because when it comes to springtime, people's thoughts turn to love. Leslie, my niece told me one time that she needed to find me a husband so I wouldn't be lonely. I tried explaining to her that just because I was single didn't mean I was lonely.
Absolutely.
Yes. Amen to the amen. And Jeff says, I was not familiar with Teri before today, but I am a huge fan now. See?
Oh, Jeff. Thank you.
Y'all, and I will be right out there. Teri saved my life. Teri is my life coach. I said, what you do is so important and vital. We need to let more people know what you do. That's why we created LaunchDate. So you can follow us on any place that you're here when you're seeing us. We're on Wednesdays every day around lunchtime. And today we had gremlins. So if we had some freeze ups or you couldn't hear us at certain times, it's just because I don't know why. There's stuff going on. But you can follow Teri at teripugh.com, correct?
Yep. That's my website. Or I'm on Instagram under Transcending Turbulence and on Facebook under Transcending Turbulence as well. And I want to say to you, I appreciate you. Thank you for your kind words. I adore you and I think the world of you. And I'm happy for and proud of you, because I call you friend now. And I know I know the circumstances we met under, and I'm glad that season of your life has shifted. And I just adore you.
Thank you. Thank you. And we love all of you who meet with us every week. You guys have become this group that is so empowering to each other. And I will say that I've got a trip to Ireland that I'm planning with Brenda Willis. We're going to take a group of people. So in 2023, if you've ever wanted to go to Ireland, we've got a group that we're planning to go. And you guys are so awesome that maybe you want to go with us. So there you go.
I don't know if Ireland can handle you and I both.
I think I'm ready to try.
Ready to try.
All right. Well, if you want to find out a little bit more about that, devonoday@gmail.com. Jeff, I'm so glad that you joined us today. I love you more than lunch and jewelry. And as I do Tim and Elizabeth and Candy and all the people, if you watch this on the replay, #replay so we know that you're there. If you have a question or a show.
Yes. If you have any topic you want to unpack, let us know.
Now we just answered Devon's questions. I think I need to see Teri about this. That's how
anytime. Always happy.
How we do it.
That's right.
Teri does great reels, Elizabeth said, and she's right. You do great reels.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, we're gonna bring this thing to a close, and Teri, you close it for us because that's what you do.
Oh, my closing has grown longer, but I'm okay with that because I'm inspired. As I have begun to say, I hope that as you go through the day, you create mindful moments that tip the scale in favor of a peaceful, clear, beautiful day for yourselves. And we appreciate each and every one of you for sharing with us and allowing us to share with you. And until we see you again next Wednesday at noon, increase the